On November 21, 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the core legal authority behind Donald Trump's sweeping tariff agenda. The 6-3 decision declared Trump's use of Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, imposing tariffs under the guise of national security, an unconstitutional overreach. The majority opinion argued that unchecked executive power in trade upsets the constitutional balance. This ruling is a turning point, ending years of legal battles by importers, manufacturers, and foreign governments who claimed the tariffs were protectionist and economically damaging. The verdict returns the power to regulate commerce to Congress, as originally intended by the framers. Billions in active tariffs are now invalidated, sending shockwaves through industries that had adapted to the America First trade landscape. For nearly a decade, sectors from automotive to agriculture operated under these duties, navigating retaliatory tariffs and uncertainty. Now, the legal foundation for that environment has crumbled, forcing a fundamental reassessment of U.S. trade policy. The decision challenges the idea that a president can single-handedly launch trade conflicts without explicit congressional consent. As the Chief Justice read the opinion, the gravity was clear. This was a profound statement on presidential power in the 21st century. The world now watches as the U.S. navigates a new, yet familiar, legal and economic terrain. Donald Trump's response from Mar-a-Lago was immediate and explosive. He denounced the Supreme Court's ruling as treasonous, accusing even his own appointees of betraying American workers and siding with globalist elites. Trump framed the decision as a personal and political attack, calling on his supporters to fight back against a rigged system. This fury is central to his populist appeal, casting himself as the lone defender against entrenched institutions. The court's decision is a direct blow to his belief in expansive executive authority, especially on trade. For his base, Trump's outrage validates their frustrations, fueling the narrative that the court's move sacrifices American jobs for legal abstractions. The debate over trade and sovereignty, now reignited, will remain a volatile force in American politics. To grasp today's ruling, we must revisit Trump's America First trade policy. His 2016 campaign promised to rewrite trade deals and confront countries like China, marking a sharp break from decades of free trade consensus. Trump viewed trade deficits as weakness and tariffs as the solution to restore American manufacturing. He withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership and renegotiated NAFTA, replacing it with the USMCA. The real escalation came in 2018, when he used Section 232 to impose steep tariffs on steel and aluminum, even targeting allies. Critics called this a misuse of national security law for economic protectionism. The administration then launched a trade war with China, using tariffs as leverage to force concessions. The approach was disruptive, upending stable trade relationships and creating uncertainty for businesses and consumers alike. The data on Trump's tariffs reveals disruption and cost. Despite the goal of reducing the trade deficit, it actually widened from $807 billion in 2017 to over $1.18 trillion by 2022. Studies show the tariffs' costs were borne by American importers and consumers, not foreign exporters. Tariffs on Chinese goods alone cost U.S. companies and consumers billions each month in added taxes and efficiency losses. Any gains in protected sectors like steel were offset by losses in industries that use steel, such as automotive and construction. Retaliatory tariffs devastated American agriculture. Soybean exports to China collapsed, forcing the government to spend billions in aid to farmers. Globally, the trade wars slowed economic growth and disrupted supply chains. The IMF warned that escalating tensions were a major headwind for the world economy. Companies rerouted sourcing and moved production, but much of it shifted to other low-cost countries, not back to the U.S. The result: economic pain at home and abroad, with little progress on the administration's stated goals. The promised manufacturing revival never materialized. Instead, the U.S. subsidized losses caused by its own policies. The data is clear. The tariff strategy failed to deliver its intended results. The Supreme Court's decision centered on the non-delegation doctrine, how much power Congress can give the president. The majority found Section 232 an egregious example of excessive delegation, offering no clear limits on presidential discretion. The term national security had become so broad it allowed the president to impose tariffs on nearly any product for any reason. The ruling insists Congress must provide specific guidelines if it wishes to delegate such authority. Dissenting justices warned this could hamper future presidents' ability to respond to real national security threats. The decision doesn't eliminate Section 232, but demands Congress reclaim its constitutional role over trade. Lawmakers must now amend the law or pass new legislation with clear limits. The era of unilateral tariff action by the executive is over, at least for now. American businesses largely welcomed the Supreme Court's decision. Groups like the Chamber of Commerce called it a victory for consumers and the rule of law, arguing tariffs had acted as a regressive tax. Wall Street responded with a surge as investors anticipated lower costs and reduced trade tensions. Downstream industries, automakers, appliance makers, celebrated the prospect of cheaper steel and aluminum. However, domestic steel producers and some labor unions warned of renewed threats from foreign competition and possible job losses. Years of supply chain adjustments now face sudden reversal, creating logistical challenges. Companies must decide whether to revert to old suppliers or stick with new, costlier arrangements. The decision places the future of trade policy in Congress's hands, leaving businesses uncertain about what comes next. The only certainty: the old rules are gone, and a new framework must be built. The business community braces for a period of transition and debate. America's trading partners greeted the Supreme Court's decision with relief. The European Union welcomed the move as a step toward normalizing transatlantic trade, anticipating the end of retaliatory tariffs. Canada and Mexico saw it as a win for predictability and regional supply chains. China's response was measured, viewing the ruling as a symbolic blow to unilateralism and hoping for more pragmatic U.S. trade policy. The World Trade Organization saw the decision as a chance to restore faith in multilateral rules and dispute resolution. The Trump-era tariffs had strained alliances and paralyzed the WTO's appellate body. Now, the U.S. is seen as moving back toward a rules-based system. The world waits to see if Congress will seize this opportunity for cooperation. The immediate effect of the ruling is the removal of Section 232 tariffs, lowering prices for steel, aluminum, and finished goods. This benefits U.S. industries reliant on these materials, but pressures domestic producers to compete with renewed imports. Global commodity and currency markets will adjust as trade flows shift and uncertainty recedes. The decision injects stability, but companies may hesitate to reverse costly supply chain changes made during the trade wars. The real question is what Congress will do next: grant the president limited tariff authority or reassert its own control. The direction lawmakers take will shape global markets and signal America's trade priorities. Investors hope for a return to stable, rules-based trade. But partisan gridlock could create new uncertainty, leaving businesses and partners in limbo. The world is watching for signs of consensus, or more chaos. The next chapter in global trade policy is about to be written in Washington. The Supreme Court's decision closes a disruptive chapter in U.S. trade policy and forces a national reckoning. The America First approach, unilateral tariffs and executive-driven protectionism, has been checked by the courts. The data shows the tariff wars failed to deliver on their promises, instead imposing costs on consumers, businesses, and farmers. Now, Congress must decide the future. Can lawmakers craft a modern trade policy that balances national security, fair competition, and global engagement? The world hopes for renewed U.S. leadership in a rules-based system, but regional blocs and supply chain shifts may endure. The path forward is uncertain, and the stakes are high for the global economy. Will this be the end of the trade wars, or the start of a new era of debate and adaptation? America stands at a crossroads. Its next move will shape the world's economic future.